Hello, friends. Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for joining me for part 11 of our 12-part near-death experience compilation. Today, we're going to hear from multiple near-death experiencers in answer to this question: is it possible to connect to that bliss and love of the other side here? And if so, how can we do that? If you'd like to connect with any of my guests, I will have their names displayed on the screen as they are speaking, and I will have each of them listed in the description box with their contact links. If you'd like to connect with me, you can also find my links to my social media in the description if you'd like to support this channel. Thank you for watching. That helps out a lot just by itself, but my Patreon link is also in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy.
Well, I think in my experience, maybe meditation is the most conscious way to do that, the best way to do that. But I think probably people who have done dream work probably know ways to get there, lucid dreaming. There are sound technologies that help people reach expanded states and then hold themselves there. And I think that those kinds of practices can help people reach those kinds of states. There's a lot of teaching out there, you know, that I think aims at that stillness, at that really becoming one with the all. It's kind of the ultimate, right? And I think it's important. I think it's a profound experience. But I also think that bringing it back somehow into this world, walking around with that kind of stillness and with that kind of awareness that we are all connected and that we're all one, that we're all breathing here together. I think that awareness is more important probably than even the actual experience itself.
I would say there's two ways to do it. Well, for me, basically, one is through meditation. I find that through meditation is great, and also through, for me, spiritual healing. I have spiritual healing still to this day, and spiritual healing is really it's really quite a calm process. You know, it's literally you would sit down like I am now, and I'd have one person healer behind me with their hands on their shoulders to start, and another one in front, normally sat down with their hands on my knees to ground me. And I just go into the moment, and I just kind of like, that is the closest I come to feeling that sensation of being back in that realm. And I find I go every week for spiritual healing, and that's I just feel the energy's coming through them, and they notice it themselves afterwards, because it's, you know, we will finish the healing session and we just sit and we don't talk for about 2 or 3 minutes, because we've all been through this profound experience, because the energy that is being conducted from their guides or my guides through their hands and through me, and it's amazing. It's something I'd highly recommend. But yeah, but meditation is something that we can all do at home. But the thing about all these things like meditation and spiritual healing is to not try too hard to worry about it, because we all think, no, it's not happening for me. I'm doing meditation and nothing's changed. You know, we just kind of figure that there's going to be like this big shift, but it will suddenly come to you, and you'll suddenly realize that you basically stopped, and you've cut all your concerns or your worries out. You've cut the noise of the world out, and you're suddenly in this space, and that's when you know that you're getting close to the light.
I would suggest, as much as you can, to avoid news and newspapers, and really go into nature, animals, children. Children are connected to the other side. As we grow, we kind of lose the connection as we get older, but children up until 13, 14, a lot of them are connected to the other side. So a lot of things that you think there's imaginary friends and all that stuff, they're really seeing those people, those entities. They're really there, actually. It's not all imaginary. That's what I want to say, because they're connected to the other side, and that's why a lot of parents who think they're teaching their kids, actually their kids are teaching them, because we're learning from them, because sometimes we've forgotten how it was.
Yeah.
We forgot how it was, how it is that, you know, kids, they fall and then the next 2 minutes they're laughing. You know, how is it that they, you know, they're just ready for life. They just go with life with no fear.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it should be.
Well, I think for me, meditation has always been a door to quiet my monkey mind, quiet my ego mind, quiet down so that I can be in those feelings within me that are connected to all that is.
I
And
agree
I think everybody has their own way of doing it. You know, for some people, meditation's too still and they're trying to be quiet, and you know, your head's never going to be quiet. I don't hear the dialogue so much anymore in my head because I've worked really hard on that.
There are a lot of different ways, I guess, you know, and I think each of us kind of has a path that we feel more uniquely drawn to. For me, it has been meditation. I feel that, you know, meditation and also just some of the spirituality that you can find within organizations, you know, like sometimes within church or sometimes within, say, yogi or another type of practice that you can follow that helps you to tune into yourself and to tune into God within you. It doesn't have to be specific, but I do, at least for me, meditation has been the biggest answer.
Calm the mind. Calm the mind. But of course, we're in a world that is moving so fast. How can I calm my mind in the middle of this chaos? Giving yourself the opportunity to be present. If people even say, I don't have 15 minutes to meditate. Okay, what are you doing when you are heating up the water for your coffee? When it's in the microwave, instead of thinking thoughts of what are you going to do tomorrow in 5 minutes, what about you take that minute, those 2 minutes to stop. Give this gift to yourself. Breathe. Just like that. You practice presence. Grab your coffee and instead of pounding, smell it. Another breath with consciousness. Drink it. See, at any moment. It's what we call mindfulness. Practice presence. Do what you do with awareness. Go the moment you walk from your office to the bathroom. How many times we go to the bathroom? Listen to your steps. Oh, you flush the water in even silly stuff, flush the water in the toilet. All my negativity is flushing in the water. See, we can, look, people don't realize that when we use our mind in a constructive way, we are giving so much to ourselves. It's amazing the gift that we can do when we use it right. The beings of light said to me, Ingrid, you think that you are thinking? And I said, of course I'm thinking all the time. It's a busy mind. And they said, no one is really using the gift of thinking as a true gift. Because 95% of the time, what people are doing with their mind is that they're trapped in memories. So people are not using the gift of thinking as a true gift. You're trapped in your memories all the time. You're just rehearsing the same thing. Say the only time you are truly using the gift of thinking is when you stop, when you go quiet and you can connect with the creative thinking of the universe. And that's when you become creative, when you get answers, when you, about anything, when you use your inner wisdom, inner guidance. That's the true power. That's why they say, be the space in the room. The moment when you are identified with the furniture, you become the puppet of your own reality. Because if I move that piece and break it, you suffer. But if you are the space, calm your mind, breathe. Give a space to yourself. You become the creator of your own reality. Because you're knowing what to do next. What about instead of reacting, I pause and I breathe. There you go. You create a new reality. Because you dissolve the drama, the story. So we are very powerful beings. Say to people, go to walk in meditation. Go to give yourself moments in front of your I practice and I teach to people very simple meditations. Meditate with the rain, meditate with the wind, meditate with the birds. So the moment you listen to a bird, you go to state of awareness. And this is something really important I want to mention, Melissa, because say that you went to a walking meditation, or that today you're supposed to be aware of your walking, or whatever it is that I'm going to be aware today. And your walking meditation ended, or your day ended, and you realize, not even a bit of awareness today. I was in my head, I was in my thoughts, I was disconnected. I said, people, what is the first thing we do? Punish ourselves. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm silly. I cannot do it. I'm discouraged. I'm good for nothing, because that's the programming we have. What if at that moment I stop and praise my awareness? Praise the fact that I'm becoming aware that throughout the whole day I was not aware. Oh, now you're giving yourself a chocolate, a candy, a sticker. I'm good. See, I told you I'm good.
Meditation. I know everybody talks about meditation and people don't want to do it. But my daughter has used meditation. Gina has used meditation, and she's made her own connection with Jesus too. So it's just going within, because the Holy Spirit's inside. You know, so go in. It's just slow your mind down and ease everything out, and don't go with any expectations. When I started doing my meditations, I would just focus on the black backside of my eyelids, and then all of a sudden you'll start seeing images appear, or colors, etc. But once you practice that for a while, yes, then you will start connecting.
I like to use meditation. I've used meditation for many years now, and I was fortunate to have some mentors in my life, and one was Margaret Keane. She's passed now, but she taught me, and she was an experiencer, and she taught me that we can all go into the light, into our light within us, and that is our doorway to that higher consciousness. So a couple different ways of recognizing it is, one, you can work on meditation, but meditation requires a discipline. It requires a dedication and a discipline before it becomes a way of life. Okay, for me, I've been doing it so long now. Every morning I get up and I start my meditative practice, and it's a part of my daily routine, and it's like breathing air for me. Okay, because I've been doing it so long, but it takes a long time. It takes a lot of practice to get to that point. But another way to think about it, other little keys to your doorway are, think about what makes you creative. What gives you inspiration? Where do you think inspiration comes from? Okay, that inspiration that you get that seems like it came from somewhere outside of you, that's your higher consciousness. That's your connection to the oneness. communicating. All right. And you can always recognize that type of inspiration because it's non-judgmental. It's very matter of fact. It just shares, and many times it has a loving component with it. And so I like to invite people to explore their creativity because we all have something. I don't care if it's music, if it's writing, if it's numbers, if it's physical exercise, if it's, there's something that really takes us away from ourselves and where our creative juices really get flowing. And when you're in that creative space, that's where does that manifest in you physically? Where does that manifest? I know some people say it's in the top of their head, some people feel it in their forehead, some people feel it in the palms of their hands, in their heart. Myself, I feel it in my heart. And so where does that manifest? Because that's when you take it into your meditative practice, use that focus of where that creativity manifests, and that can help you to open that door.
Love each other. Number one, love each other. It's built into human beings. It's built into us. And there are so many kinds of love in the world. So even if you're not a spiritual person, even if you are, say, a super logical atheist, and yet you love your children, that's love. It's real love. And love is what God is. God is love. And that's one thing. But the other way to cultivate is you got to strive for it. You need to, Jesus said, he said, when you pray, go into your closet and pray by yourself. He said, make your eyes single and your body will be filled with light. He said, you are God's. Small g, not a capital G, lowercase g. Still, you are light itself. You are the light of the world. And we can, by going on our interior world, by looking inside ourselves, using breath and mental focus, we can quiet down the egoic mind, the false self, as Father Thomas Keating calls it, from the centering prayer movement out of the Catholic Church and the Trappists and the Theravada Buddhists. If you can quiet your dualistic mind, you can hear the daughter's voice. You can hear the voice of the daughter. I got to get that straight. You could hear the daughter of a voice. You could hear the daughter of the voice. If we learn to quiet our minds. And so and I was a preacher for 18 years. And someone once said to me, one of the women who worked in the church I first was working in, she said to me, so Peter, and she closed the door, I have this, and nobody knew I was a near-death experiencer at this point. She said, I have this sneaking suspicion that if you weren't preaching, you wouldn't go to church. And I'm like, no, I guess I wouldn't. And she said, why? And I said, because my spirituality is sustained interiorly. I don't need the exterior to sustain my spirituality. I like the community. I like the community because in community, this interior practice multiplies. When two or three are gathered, I am there. And when you access the divine inside yourself and you do it with other people, it magnifies itself. It magnifies itself. It gets bigger on its own. And so your meditation and prayer life impacts mine positively and vice versa. And so I think going inward is the way out. And I use meditation techniques and other techniques that have been passed down for centuries through different traditions that are available to everyone to use. But it takes dedication and it takes fortitude, and you got to stay at it for a lifetime. So I've been 40 years into meditation.
And that's a great question. I mean, I've found a lot of time I'll think, how come I can't feel that love? How come I can't feel that again? How do I connect? How do I plug back into the oneness? Here's a little exercise that I found profound. And this is how subtle spirit or the divine works. You know, I used to pray before the accident. I would have these eloquent prayers, asking and blessing and on and on and on. Now I just shut up and listen. I don't say so much. I be still. I be still. And here's the exercise I've found that works every time. If I make the prayers not about me, but if I just get in a quiet place and listen with perhaps a question of what can I do for someone else today? What can I do to make someone else's life better? And I, almost immediately, a little image will come up. I'll have an idea. I'll have a thought. I'll have an inspiration. And then do it. It might be as simple as I've got to text my mom today. Haven't talked to mom in a week or whatever, you know, or 2 weeks. But just being open to what can I do for someone else? Then it seems like the inspiration flows and I'll have that little idea. It might be a simple thing, but if I do it, I feel connected. Then I have that joy. Then I feel that love. And that's what I do these days to try to stay plugged in, right?
Sometimes people ask me, I would like to know Jesus. And I said, great, do it. Ask him. And I said, well, how do you do that? And I said, well, here's what I suggest. Go to a place that's your sacred place. Could be by a lake or by an ocean or by in a woods, or it could be in a church, or it could just be in your bed. I mean, whatever is your holy place, you know, where you feel really, really safe and comfortable and good. Mm-hmm. And tell God everything you can think of to tell him. Especially tell him all the bad stuff. Tell God all the rotten things you've done and all the good things you've done. And I said, you don't have to worry about it because he already knows all that. He already knows everything you're going to tell him. He just wants to know that you are going to be honest with him enough to say it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the analogy I use is like when my wife says to me, I love you, she doesn't want to hear, mm-hmm. She didn't want to hear, I know. You know, she wants, you know what she wants to hear? I love you too, dear. That's what she wants to hear. And guess what? That's what I give her. Uh-huh. And I know that, and you know what? That makes her happy. And vice versa, when I say to her, I love you, I want to hear. I mean, I want to hear I love you too, you know? And I don't want to hear and nothing else, right? Mm-hmm. God wants to hear honesty from us. So you tell God, you tell him what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what you want, what you don't want. Tell him, he knows it all. Just tell him. This is my life. This is who I am. This is what I struggle with. These are my hopes, my dreams, my fears, you know. Tell him all. And when you're done telling God all your secrets, which aren't really secret from God, mm-hmm. then sit there and say, now I want to know your love. And I'm just going to sit here and wait for that love. And one last suggestion, as you're waiting for that love, sometimes it's important to have something to focus on. So whatever would help you focus might be like a candle or a cross or the sun going down over the lake, or, you know, in front of my computer screen that I'm looking at right now, I have my focal.
Oh, that's great.
My little, this is he keeps me focused on what's important. right now it's interesting because the sun is shining on him, so he's very bright.
Mm.
I don't know, but anyways, and he points at me. And it's not accusatory pointing. I mean, it's like, you know, go for it, do it.
Uh-huh.
So you keep your focus on wanting the love of God, and you sit there and wait for it. And I think you'll get that, as John Wesley, the founder of the Methodist Church, said, the strange warming of the heart. John Wesley's big conversion experience he described as strange warming of the heart.
Mm.
And you get that strange warming of the heart, and you'll know Jesus is real.
Real happiness can't come from relationships. It only comes from playing guitar. Take up music. I mean, that's where it's at. That makes me as happy as can be. And I know not everybody can play music, but, you know, find those things in life that bring about those a trance-like state. Some people do it with meditation. I've never been able to do that. I just couldn't. But when I play music, I am gone. You know, no past, no future. Just this. It's just a beautiful state. And you can do this other ways. Same thing happens when I walk. I walk a lot, like 10 to 12 miles every day. And I do long distance walking. And there's this beautiful pulse. Like when I first started doing it, I was thinking, I'm gonna need to lose weight. Right? And so that's what I was doing. But then it didn't take long for me to find out how much I loved it. And that there's this beautiful rhythm and pulse, the sound, the motion, where it starts to feel like the earth is walking me, right? At that trance state. You can get it in sports. I get it when I cook. I love to cook. Those things where you're not in your head and your thinking stops. That's where I find the most beauty in life.
I would like to say here that my journey brought me through something I call practical spirituality. Because here I was married, I was having babies, I was raising children, and I was expanding my spirituality. I did not have an hour to sit down and meditate. My meditation time was 10 to 15 minutes. Practice makes permanent. If you're practicing the wrong thing, it will establish itself as permanent. If you're practicing the right thing, it will establish itself as permanent. You see what I'm saying? So I've got some kind of 7 little rules. First, I go, get the body fit, the mind will follow. Because you see, you got to get out of your mind and into your spirit. And rhythm is the key, you see? So when I start working with people, the first thing we got to do is let's get into exercise. You know, you got to get into rhythm. You have to get into the rhythm of music. One of the very first things I try to establish for people who are working with me is, what is the rhythm that you came here? We came here with a rhythm, and we have to develop it, follow the patterns until we develop it to its fullest potential. And one of the things that guides have said to me over and over again, there is music for every human being that walks this earth. There is music out there that has been put out into the ethers that will help them to follow their vibration. So the first thing I do is try to find, what is your rhythm? See what I'm saying? Get the body fit, the mind will follow. Begin to become mindful. Because we take our attention and our awareness. Begin to see your attention and your awareness as money. If I gave you $1 million, you'd be very careful how you spend it. Your attention is worth more than $1 million. Where are you spending it? So there's this thing called mindfulness in spiritual study, so that you are being aware where you are placing your focus, how you are spending your energy. You see what I'm saying? And then the discipline of routine. You got to get your life down, discipline to a routine, To this day, I started off with a routine of being awake at 4:30 in the morning. I'm retired now. I still come awake at 4:30 in the morning. It's a habit. If I'm in Japan, if I'm in Korea, if I'm in London, I can tell you when it's 4:30 in the morning in America. So you get your life into rhythm and you get your life into routine, you see. And you begin to pay attention. What is your intention for your life? Because in the human nature stage, we are taught that it's got to build up wealth and it's got to build up character and it's got to build the earthly things. You've got to move now to a place where you begin to ask yourself, what is the intention that I have for my life? And you're asking the universe, you're asking the oneness to help you to manifest.
To really understand what's going on here, we have to experience it directly. So that requires looking inwardly. That requires looking at, looking at our mind, looking at our real condition, which we would say is the nature of mind, getting to know that and cultivating that in our life. So there's so many things that we can do to cultivate this compassion in our life. A really simple thing to do is just to be a generous person. Just be kind. Practicing kindness starts to open us up. We start to see how wonderful everyone is. We start to see that, oh, this world is a lot more beautiful than I thought it was. And you really start to notice little things. You can be kind, but then you might start going on real slow walks, looking at flowers, looking at insects, just noticing how beautiful things are. And those are, whether you call it meditation or not, you are starting to be aware. You're starting to be present. So when we can start to learn about what's going on, we are tapping into that eternal wisdom that we were all born with.